Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the one-time studio album from Ravenword, Transcendence, out January 31st on Rockshot Records. The album has 13 tracks, 1 hour and 10 minutes in length. Now for those of you that are not familiar with this band, they're an Italian symphonic metal band. So for the fans of Nightwish, for the fans of symphonic metal in general, I really recommend you guys checking out this album because it's being labeled as a one-time studio album. So I don't think there's going to be other records coming after this one, but this one is worth checking out. Like I said, specifically if you're a fan of the genre. Now the album is based on the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe, and that to me allows the album to have a very dark embrace, a very dark feeling to it that works very well with the genre itself. The structure of the album is really fluid. It really mixes slower tracks, more melancholic, darker tracks with faster pace, higher octane tracks, and that allows the album to have a great fluidity from track to track, never getting into a rut, never getting into a position where you feel like the album is just spinning. So the album is long, has a lot of songs, it's long in length, but it has such a great fluidity that 1 hour and 10 minutes really goes by extremely fast. The album is tight, it has its own parameters of the style, of the sound, of the way the vocals come at you, but it's very tight within those parameters. It really doesn't take you on any unknown road. It doesn't take you down a path that you perhaps were not expecting. This is an album that once you start listening to it, what you expect from it, it's pretty much what this album is going to give you. Then, as far as voice is concerned, I really like Chiara's vocals. They're absolutely phenomenal. She has a magnificent voice. And the fact that they use some male vocals, but not too much, they just really sprinkle them here and there, and they use them more for a storytelling aspect. They really use them to enhance the story that they're telling you with specific songs, and they do that by including the male vocals to add a sense of a character to the story. So I like the fact that they didn't go overboard with the male vocals because her voice is phenomenal. Her voice really carries the album well. But when you're looking at an album that has not the concept, but it has the idea that this album has of using poetry of Edgar Allan Poe, adding a little bit of male vocals here and there, really sprinkles of them, I feel that elevates the quality of the record and allows them to tell the stories a lot better. The album is really driven, like I said, by the vocals of Chiara, but also by the keyboard melodies. To me, those are the two drivers. They kind of take turns on who's the more predominant one, but those are the two main components, main elements that this record has to offer. And that to me takes me to a little bit of a negative on this album, which is at times it feels so light. Her voice is so magnificent, the keyboard melodies are so beautiful, but when you put them together, sometimes it feels the album goes through stretches where it's a little bit light. It floats like a feather. To me, if you have an album with 13 tracks, 1 hour and 10 minutes long, you have to include at least 4 or 5 a little bit heavier songs that change who the driver is behind the album or behind the track. So you need to create songs that have more of a guitar-driven sound, a drum-driven sound, maybe use male harsh vocals, create a sense of a duet, if you will, and not just sprinkles of male vocals. You need to do something in order to get some songs that completely change the dynamic of the record, because that is the only downside that this album has. It goes down this linear path all the way through, never deviating, and then there's not a lot of songs built in within it that really resets your ears. There are a few, like Purity is one of those that you can really feel like she took her voice to the next level, but there's not enough of them, in my opinion, to really give you a little bit of diversity. The album becomes very linear in its approach. So I would like to have a little bit more of some songs built around those songs that have a little bit more of a robust sound, a little bit of a thicker wall that will really allow the rest of the album to feel even more fluid than what this one is. So to me, that is the small downside that I have on this record. But overall, when I look at this album from a symphonic metal perspective, but overall from a construction, from a structure, vocals, lyrics, it's a really magnificent album. And I think the fans of the genre, the fans of symphonic metal, will really gravitate towards this record and really enjoy this album. There are so many great things about this record that I really hope that this is not their one-time studio album. I really hope that they do more records going forward, because I really feel that there's so much quality with these guys, that there's so much more for them to give. So I hope that this was perhaps a one-time studio album that becomes something more than that. That is my hope, and then I hope with those other releases or possible releases, they can tweak some of those elements and really put out even something stronger than Transcendence. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start with Purity, a song that in some ways reminded me of Ghost Love's score from Nightwish. Not from a structural perspective, but the chorus of this song had a little bit of Ghost Love score, and how the vocals were used, how the melodies were used, and how it broke itself apart from the verses and from the rest of the song. Great keyboard opening melody. It moves into the verses with absolute ease. Is a song that's very leveled vocally and musically, with the exception perhaps of the chorus. During the verses, it's a lot more level, it's a more subdued, but then as it gets into the chorus, it becomes a lot more bombastic. It becomes a little bit larger, a little bit bigger. It really pushes the volume of the track upwards. I like the use of the vocal layers in the verses. It adds volume to the vocals, and this is something they use throughout the record. I really enjoy that, really adding different layers to it, making the songs more robust, giving a little bit of extra heaviness to her voice. So I really like that they did that in this song. And this song has a great solo, by the way, absolutely magnificent solo that really elevates the track, similar to what the chorus does vocally. The solo does that to the overall structure of the song. Next, What I Need. This is a more robust track in my opinion. Has a great tempo. It's a faster tempo song. The drums and bass are a little bit more predominant in this song, kind of giving you a glimpse of what they can do in changing who the driver is on a specific track. They don't do that enough in my opinion, but this song kind of gives you a glimpse into that, on how they can change the direction of a song just by changing what instruments or what elements are more predominant. In this song, I felt that the drums and the bass had a huge role. You could really hear the bass, and that gave the song a little bit more of a robust sound, a thicker sound, a heavier sound, if you will. The song has, there's a storytelling aspect to this song that really fits well with the track. It really fits well with the way the vocals are coming at you. The guitar solo is followed by a keyboard solo. I really like the combination of those two elements, because to me that was absolutely magnificent. It extended the solo. It felt like the solo was longer because you have the guitar solo and immediately after the keyboard solo comes right into it. So I really like the combination of those two elements. It just felt that it was really long. It felt almost like an extreme long bridge that connected two pieces of this track together. So I really enjoyed that. The chorus has beautiful vocals. The backing vocals in the chorus gives a sense of a choir. So that really sets apart itself from the way the vocals are done in the verses. The verses, you have layers to it to give volume and thickness, but then in the chorus, you have more of a choir feel to it, using similar elements to give a different feel to the song. Last but not least, Bleeding Moon, a more stripped down track, more of a keyboard and vocal driven track, more of a ballad, if you will. Really stripped down effect, beautiful closing track. This is the last track on the album. Really beautiful closing track. I really like what they did here. A really stripped down effect. It gets a little bit heavier towards the end. The drums come in at the end and add a little bit of heaviness, add a little bit of presence. But overall, when you're looking at this song, it's really a stripped down ballad where the vocals and the keyboards really dictate the mood, the tempo, the melodies, everything. Absolutely magnificent. A song that then closes off with a beautiful keyboard melody similar to how it started. So it's a song that closes the album well, but it also wraps itself around on itself as it starts, as it finishes. I absolutely enjoy this album by Ravenword. Like I said, I really hope that this is not one-time studio album. I know perhaps that was the idea going in, but I really hope they take the time to do more records in the future, because for the fans of symphonic metal, this is an album that you have to pick up. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those as always and getting back to you. Take care guys.